Do you ever feel like you keep giving everything and somehow it's never enough? You bend, you stay, you forgive, and yet the peace you crave never comes. You keep waiting for that one message, that one apology, that one sign that they finally understand. But they don't. They never do. And deep down you know why. Because the moment you need someone to notice you, you give them control. Hey, if this already hit something inside, you stay here. Subscribe not for me, but for the part of you that's tired of being the one who always cares more. You think you're free, but you're not. Every time you overthink their silence, every time you replay the last conversation, you're building a cage with your own hands. They don't even have to hold you anymore, you do it for them. You try to fix what's broken, but it was never yours to fix. You're addicted to proving your worth, and that's why they keep you waiting. Then one day it hits you. The chain you've been dragging wasn't theirs. It was made from your fear of being alone, your hunger for being chosen. Freedom doesn't start when they come back. It starts when you stop asking why they left. It starts when you look in the mirror and say, I'm done handing people the keys to my peace. You don't owe explanations. You don't owe closure. You owe yourself silence, distance, and self-respect. And the moment you finally stop chasing what never valued you, you'll feel something you haven't felt in years. Not revenge, not relief. Peace. Real, unshakable peace. Remember this. The first prison was never built from walls. It was built from attachment. Have you ever noticed how some people love to drag you into their chaos? They argue to win, not to understand. They twist your words, raise their voice, and somehow, every time you're the one apologizing for things you never did, you walk away shaking, thinking, if I had just said it better, maybe they'd finally hear me. But they never wanted to hear you. They wanted to control you. If you've lived that, if you're tired of fighting to prove your truth, stay right here. Subscribe not because I asked you to, but because you deserve a place that teaches you how to protect your peace instead of constantly losing it. You see, the world is addicted to noise. People argue to feel alive. They confuse loudness with power. But you're learning something different now. The one who stays calm while everyone else screams is the one they secretly fear. Because silence is unsettling. It forces them to hear themselves. When you stop reacting, their games collapse. When you stop defending, they lose their script. And when you stop explaining, you starve their control. That's when the tables turn. Your silence doesn't mean they won. It means you're done playing. Let them yell, let them spin stories, let them perform for the crowd. You already know who they are. You don't have to destroy them. They'll do that themselves piece by piece every time you refuse to engage. Stillness is your weapon. It's the armor that turns manipulation into noise you can simply walk past. Because the calm one, the quiet one, the one who doesn't flinch, commands the room without saying a word. And someday soon you'll realize silence doesn't just protect your peace, it creates it. Have you ever noticed how people change when you stop giving them what they want? When you stop calling first, when you stop explaining yourself, when you stop trying to fix everything, they suddenly become strangers. The ones who said they cared start disappearing the moment your energy isn't feeding them anymore. And you sit there wondering, were they ever real? Or did they just love the version of me that kept giving? If that hit too close, stay. Subscribe. Not because this is just another story, but because deep down you're ready to stop bleeding for people who never noticed the wound. You start stepping back. At first it feels wrong. Your mind panics, what if they forget you? What if they think you've changed? But here's the truth, that fear is the proof of your healing. Because you're no longer addicted to attention, you're learning to breathe without permission. The more you pull away, the clearer you see. Distance exposes truth. The ones who truly value you will move closer. The ones who used you will fade in silence. You don't have to chase answers anymore. Their behavior is your answer. People reveal everything when they lose access to your energy. When you stop feeding their ego, they starve. When you stop explaining, they panic. When you disappear, their mask falls. And for the first time, you realize you never lost anyone. You only lost the illusion of who they were. So stay quiet. Stay distant. Watch everything unfold without your involvement. Because distance doesn't break connections, it exposes which ones were real all along. The moment you stop running after what doesn't chase you back, peace finds you instead. Have you ever felt like no matter what you do, it's never enough for people to finally approve of you? You succeed, they stay silent. You fail once they remind you of it for years. You keep changing, adapting, softening, hoping someone will finally say, "I'm proud of you." But they don't. They never do. And deep down, you start realizing they don't have to. If you've been living for applause that never comes, stay. Subscribe not because I'm here to teach you to be liked, but because you deserve to be free. Approval is the prettiest prison ever built. You don't even notice the chains because they sound like compliments. Every "I'm so proud of you" becomes a drug, and every silence feels like withdrawal. You start performing instead of living. You start existing to impress people who don't even think about you when they go to bed at night. But something shifts when you stop asking for permission to be yourself. The moment you stop explaining your choices is the moment you begin to own them. They might call you arrogant, cold, distant, but that's what freedom sounds like to those who need control. You start moving with quiet certainty. You stop bending for validation and start walking in purpose. And suddenly people who once ignored you start paying attention because confidence built from self-respect is louder than any approval they could ever give. The truth is, simple people respect what they can't manipulate. When you no longer need their praise, they no longer have power over you. So stop performing. Stop pleasing. Stop begging to be seen. Because the day you no longer chase approval, that's the day it starts chasing you. Have you ever noticed how fast you lose control when someone pushes the right button? They roll their eyes, ignore your message, twist your words, and before you even realize it, you're reacting. You raise your voice, you defend yourself, you explain things you don't even owe them. And after it's over, you sit there wondering, why do I always let them pull me into this? If that question stings, stay. Subscribe not for me, but for the part of you that's done letting people dictate your emotions like they own a remote to your peace. Here's the truth, every reaction is a confession. The moment you react, you show them what controls you. Anger, fear, guilt, it all becomes a map of your weaknesses. And the ones who know how to read that map will always use it to control you. But something changes when you stop giving them the reaction they crave. They expect chaos, but you give them calm. They expect argument, but you give them silence. And that silence, it's louder than any word you could ever say. When you refuse to react, you take the steering wheel back. You stop being a puppet pulled by invisible strings and start becoming the one who sees the game for what it is. You stop wasting energy trying to prove your truth and start protecting it instead. So the next time someone tries to trigger you, remember this: calm is not weakness, it's strategy. Stillness is not surrender, it's control. Because the person who stays calm while everyone else loses their mind is the one who already won. Have you ever stayed loyal to someone who kept proving they didn't deserve it? You kept showing up. You gave second chances to people who never gave you one. You defended them when they weren't even around to defend you. And in the end, they made you feel like you were the problem for caring too much, for staying too long, for loving too deeply. If that sounds like you, stay. Subscribe not because I need another number, but because you need a reminder that loyalty without respect isn't love. It's self-destruction dressed as devotion. You see, loyalty is beautiful only when it's mutual, but when it's one-sided, it becomes a leash. You start believing that leaving makes you heartless, that setting boundaries means betrayal. So you keep overgiving, hoping they'll finally appreciate you. They won't. People don't value what they didn't have to earn. The hardest truth to swallow is this: your loyalty will never turn a selfish person into a grateful one. You can't save someone who benefits from keeping you broken. And every time you choose them over yourself, you teach them that your love requires no respect. One day you wake up tired, not angry, just empty. You stop arguing. You stop begging. You stop explaining. And in that silence, you realize loyalty doesn't mean staying, it means protecting your peace from those who abuse it. They'll call you cold when you finally walk away, but that's what people say when they lose control over someone who finally learned their worth. So walk away quietly, firmly, without guilt. Because real loyalty starts with you. Have you ever watched someone fake confidence so well that you almost envied them? The loud one in the room, the one who talks over everyone, the one who always needs to be right. They look powerful until life hits, and suddenly the mask cracks. Because confidence can be performed, but composure can't. And maybe that's what you've been doing too, trying to look strong instead of being still. If that hits you somewhere deep, stay. Subscribe, not because you need another voice in your feed, but because you're ready to learn the difference between looking confident and being in control. Confidence is easy when life is easy. Anyone can stand tall when no one's challenging them. But composure, that's built in fire. It's forged in the moments where everything falls apart, yet you refuse to lose your center. You stop performing for the world. You start observing it. You listen more. You speak less. And while everyone else rushes to prove their worth, you sit still, measured, grounded, unshaken. That's the shift. People notice it. They can't explain it, but they feel it. Because composure carries a quiet authority that confidence will never touch. It doesn't shout. It doesn't demand. It simply exists, and everyone adjusts to it. You don't need to prove anything anymore. Your energy speaks first, your calmness speaks louder, and your silence says everything. So stop chasing the illusion of confidence. Build composure instead. Because when you can stay calm in chaos, when you can breathe through pressure, you no longer need to appear powerful. You are power. Have you ever shared something personal thinking it would bring you closer to someone, only to have them use it against you later? Have you ever opened up about your fears, your dreams, your past, and then felt exposed, misunderstood, or judged? You tell yourself honesty builds connection, but sometimes it only gives people ammunition. And the worst part? You keep doing it, hoping this time will be different. If that hits something in your chest, stay, subscribe, not because you owe me anything, but because you're ready to stop bleeding information to people who haven't earned your truth. Here's the truth. No one tells you. The more you reveal, the less they respect it. Mystery isn't manipulation. It's protection. You don't owe anyone your inner world just because they ask to see it. When you keep talking, defending, explaining, you give people a map of your mind, and the wrong ones will use it to control you. But something powerful happens when you start withholding. You stop explaining your silence. You stop announcing your moves. You stop proving your intentions. And in that restraint, you become unpredictable, untouchable. People start wondering what you're thinking, what you're planning, and that uncertainty gives you leverage. Not everyone deserves access to you. Let them earn it. Let them sit in curiosity. Let your quiet create gravity. Because the less you reveal, the more they imagine. And the more they imagine, the more they respect what they can't read. You don't have to hide, just don't hand your power away so freely. Because mystery doesn't make you distant, it makes you powerful. Have you ever shared your pain with someone only to watch them twist it into a weapon? Have you ever cried in front of the wrong person and saw how their eyes lit up when they realized what breaks you? You thought being open would bring understanding, but it only gave them a map of how to hurt you deeper next time. And so, you learn the world doesn't always respect vulnerability, it studies it. If that truth hurts, stay. Subscribe, not because you owe me loyalty, but because you owe yourself protection. Because some people shouldn't get to know the parts of you they'd only use to destroy you. Here's what no one told you. Emotions are signals, not invitations. You can feel everything without showing anything. You can care deeply and still move like stone. When you cry in silence, you're not weak. You're reclaiming privacy in a world that feeds on exposure. You start realizing that not every listener is safe. Some want your story not to understand, but to control. They'll mimic empathy just long enough to learn your triggers, then pull them when you least expect it. So you begin to pull back. You speak less. You feel more. You master the art of keeping your face calm while your mind burns through the analysis of who truly deserves your softness. And one day you stop oversharing pain altogether. You start turning emotion into insight, heartbreak into discipline, disappointment into distance. Because when you stop giving people access to your emotional buttons, they stop having power to press them. You still feel everything, but you reveal nothing. And that's not coldness, that's survival. Have you ever realized that your biggest fights aren't with other people, they're with yourself? You argue with your own thoughts. You replay conversations that ended hours ago. You keep trying to win battles that only exist inside your head. And every time you lose, the same way you let your emotions lead and they drive you straight into exhaustion. If that sounds too familiar, stay. Subscribe, not because this is some self-help sermon, but because you're ready to stop being your own enemy and start mastering the only battlefield that truly matters, the one inside you. Every day, you wake up and go to war with impulses. The urge to prove a point, the need to explain, the craving to be understood. But those impulses aren't strength, they're traps. They lure you into fights that don't serve you. They make you defend peace instead of embody it. You start to see it differently now. When anger rises, you don't react, you study it. When ego flares, you don't obey, you observe. You start realizing that not every attack deserves an answer, and not every disrespect needs a reaction. That's when the shift happens. You stop being the soldier, you become the strategist. You save energy instead of wasting it. You let silence do what shouting never could. The war doesn't end, but it stops owning you, because power isn't about winning arguments. It's about staying unshaken. It's the discipline to stay centered when chaos tries to drag you out of yourself. Remember this: mastering the battlefield within is the only victory that lasts. And when you conquer your own emotions, you become untouchable. Have you ever felt torn between wanting to be kind and needing to protect yourself? You try to be patient, to understand, to give people the benefit of the doubt. But somehow you end up being the one who gets burned. You hold back your anger because you don't want to be cruel, but deep down you know you can't survive this world being only gentle, because kindness without strategy turns into self-destruction. If that sounds like you, stay. Subscribe, not because you need another voice telling you to be strong, but because you're ready to learn how to be both strong and smart. You've heard of the fox and the lion, Machiavelli's timeless lesson. The fox uses intellect to avoid traps. The lion uses strength to face wolves. But the powerful mind knows when to be which. If you're always the fox, you overthink and hesitate. If you're always the lion, you charge blindly and lose control. Real mastery is the dance between the two, the balance of patience and precision. You start moving differently once you understand this. You stop arguing with fools. You study them. You stop showing mercy to manipulators. You outmaneuver them. You stop fighting every battle. You choose the ones that actually matter. People will call you cold, calculated, intimidating. Let them. You're not becoming ruthless. You're becoming wise. You've learned that protecting your energy doesn't make you heartless. It makes you sovereign. So when life throws traps your way, be the fox, watch, wait, think. And when it's time to act, be the lion, decisive, fearless, unstoppable. Because power isn't choosing one or the other. It's mastering both. Have you ever stayed somewhere long after you knew it was time to leave a relationship, a friendship, a job, a room that used to feel warm but now feels like a cage? You tell yourself, maybe it'll get better. Maybe they'll change. Maybe I'm just overreacting. But deep down, you already know it's not going to change. And staying is slowly killing your peace. If you've been there, stay here. Subscribe, not because I need another follower, but because you're ready to remember what it means to walk away with dignity instead of drowning in guilt. The world romanticizes endurance. It tells you that staying means loyalty, that patience is strength. But sometimes strength is quiet. It looks like gathering your things, standing up and saying, no more. Walking away doesn't make you cold, it makes you conscious. It's not about proving a point. It's about protecting your sanity. The longer you stay where respect is gone, the more you teach people that you'll tolerate anything just to avoid being alone. And that's how peace dies, slowly, politely, silently. But the moment you walk away, something shifts. At first it hurts. The silence feels heavier than the noise you left behind. Then slowly peace walks in like sunlight through a crack in the wall. You start breathing again, not to survive, but to exist freely. They'll call you selfish. They'll call you ungrateful. Let them talk. That's what people do when they lose the version of you they could control. Remember this, walking away is not weakness, it's wisdom. Because the one who can leave when respect disappears always holds the real power. Have you ever noticed how people treat your attention like it's free? They take your time, your energy, your focus, as if it's endless. They text when they're bored, call when they're lonely, vent when they need an audience, but disappear when it's your turn to speak. And somehow you still show up. You still listen. You still give. Until one day you realize you've been handing out gold to people who pay you back in crumbs. If that truth hit you, stay. Subscribe not because I want your attention, but because you're ready to reclaim it. Your attention is currency. Every glance, every reply, every minute you spend thinking about someone is an investment. And most people are bankrupt of reciprocity. They don't value what's free. They value what they have to earn. When you start pulling your attention back, everything changes. You stop chasing conversations that go nowhere. You stop refreshing your phone for validation that never comes. You stop pouring energy into people who only call when it's convenient. And that silence, the one you used to fear, starts feeling powerful. Because when you stop giving away your focus, your life stops feeling empty. People will notice. They'll ask why you're distant. They'll accuse you of changing. They're right, you did. You stopped making everyone else the main character in a story that's supposed to be yours. Your energy is sacred. Your time is priceless. Don't waste it trying to convince people to see your worth. Let your absence remind them of what your presence once gave. Because attention once withheld becomes power. And when you finally guard your peace like treasure, the world starts treating it that way too. Have you ever wondered why peace feels so temporary? Why the moment you finally calm down, something or someone shows up to shake you again? It's like life keeps testing your ability to stay grounded, as if the universe is asking, do you really mean it this time? And every time you break, you lose your center. You go right back to reacting, explaining, overthinking. You promise yourself you'll be stronger next time, and then you fall for the same chaos again. If that feels too real, stay. Subscribe not because you need motivation, but because you're done mistaking peace for comfort instead of discipline. Detachment is not about not caring. It's about caring correctly. It's not about being cold. It's about being in control. You start realizing peace isn't given, it's built. Every time you choose to pause instead of panic, you're laying another brick in your foundation. You begin to treat your emotions like weather, passing, temporary, not permanent. You let the storm come. You feel it. But you don't become it. You stop trying to fix everything immediately, and you start observing patterns. You notice how predictable the chaos is once you stop participating in it. People may call you distant, but you're not. You're disciplined. You're learning that self-control is the purest form of self-respect. You no longer chase calm. You create it, breath by breath, decision by decision. Because detachment isn't giving up, it's growing up. It's understanding that peace doesn't come when life gets easier. It comes when you get stronger. And that kind of peace, no one can take it from you. Have you ever been surrounded by people and still felt completely alone? You smile, you listen. You play the part, but inside you're tired. You give so much of yourself to keep others comfortable that when the day ends, there's nothing left of you. And somehow, they still call you strong. But strength isn't about carrying everyone. It's about learning when to put the weight down. If that sounds like your life, stay. Subscribe not because you need another motivational speech, but because you're finally ready to choose yourself without apology. Independence isn't loud. It doesn't post its progress. It doesn't beg to be noticed. It's quiet, calm, deliberate. It's sitting alone on a Friday night and not feeling lonely. It's saying no without guilt. It's walking away from attention that costs your peace. You begin to understand something profound. Solitude isn't a punishment, it's preparation. When you stop running from your own company, you start hearing the voice you've been drowning out for years. That voice knows who you are without anyone's opinion attached. It knows what you want, what you value, what you refuse to tolerate again. People might not understand it. They'll say you've changed, that you've become distant. But you haven't changed. You've returned to yourself. You've stopped confusing connection with dependency. You've learned that being alone is better than being surrounded by people who drain you. Because independence isn't loneliness, it's liberation. It's when you finally stop needing to be chosen and start choosing yourself. And that moment when you realize your peace belongs to you is the moment you become untouchable. Have you ever felt like no matter how much you grow, life keeps testing you? You build peace and something tries to shake it. You find clarity and someone tries to confuse it. It's like every time you take a step forward, the world throws a storm to see if you'll still stand tall. And for a while you do what you've always done. You react, you fight, you prove. But one day you just stop. Not because you gave up, but because you finally understand you don't have to fight every battle to win the war. If that feels like where you are, stay. Subscribe. Not because you need inspiration, but because you're done living in reaction and ready to live in control. You've reached the place where silence feels stronger than words. You no longer need to explain, convince, or defend. You understand that peace isn't found in calm situations. It's built inside chaotic ones. You've learned to stay still when others panic, to breathe when others break, to listen when others shout. They'll notice the difference. They'll say you've changed, and you have. You're not ruled by emotion anymore. You're not triggered by disrespect. You're not addicted to proving your worth. You've become something rare, calm in a world addicted to chaos. Now when storms come, you don't run. You let them pass. You stand at the center, unbothered, unshaken, unbreakable. Because power was never about control over others. It was about mastery over yourself. So when people ask how you stay so calm while everything burns, just smile. They won't understand that you're not the storm's victim anymore. You are its center.